Good day, everyone. Welcome to another episode of CoinNewsExtra interview sessions. So today we'll be talking about crypto adoption, what should be done. And we have the anchor, the great men that are doing amazingly well in the crypto space. They've been at the forefront preaching crypto. So we have Andrew T and Hello Brent Betts. They are the hosts of Wild West Crypto Show. It's our pleasure to have you.
Yes, you bet. Thank you for inviting us.
Yeah, pleasure is ours.
You're from a different part of Texas than we are, though, I think.
That's amazing to meet you guys. You guys are doing amazingly well with the Wild West Crypto Show, trying to showcase crypto to people. That's amazing. So I'll give you people an opportunity just briefly to tell us about yourselves and the Wild West Crypto Show.
You bet. Well, we talk about adoption. That's the biggest thing in cryptos. And so we started this show about 3 years ago. And we've done radio and television for a long time. Brent, and he can tell you, but he's highly credentialed in the financial space. And what we wanted to do with this show is reach kind of what we call our redneck buddies, our farmer friends and all that don't really know anything about crypto and aren't going to go to a computer to watch a YouTube or a podcast. So we broadcast mainly on regular radio, television, and that kind of thing to educate people about what cryptocurrencies and the blockchain really are, so that people understand what it is and we can help with adoption.
That's interesting to know. Okay, you want to say something?
No, I was just going to say that I started with Merrill Lynch when I was 23, I think it was. I've been a registered investment advisor, ran my own mutual fund for a while, so I've got a lot of experience on that. And then when Drew introduced me to crypto, I went, I got it. I could see that. And so then the funny thing is we did our first show and we had like 5 things written on a page. We did an hour show and then we looked at each other and went, we work well together. So it's been up there.
You guys are getting along very well. You've known each other for that long. It's been long.
Yeah, it's been almost coming on 4 years. Yeah.
40 years. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So we are talking about crypto adoption, what should be done. We've been the host of Wild West Crypto Show and been at the forefront of mass adoption and preaching the good gospel about cryptocurrency and blockchain. So let us look at it from the regulatory side of it. What do you think proper regulation will do to blockchain and cryptocurrency?
Brent, why don't you talk about regulation?
Well, because I have a real textured relationship with the SEC and the NASD and all the regulators. Unfortunately, most of the times you do need a little bit of regulation. Even here in the U.S., our Constitution and our Bill of Rights is a nice loose framework with which for the world to operate inside of. The problem is that usually once you get down the path of regulation, you get to what I call the law of diminishing returns. It suddenly starts to become more and more overregulated, and then you actually start finding companies that sponsor regulation to give them a competitive advantage over everyone else. And so I think as long as crypto basically kind of keeps enough regulation to get rid of the outright thieves, but leave enough flexibility for the entrepreneurs to actually go to every nook and cranny of what this can actually do, because what blockchain will do for the world and what cryptocurrency will do for the world is very akin to the Industrial Revolution. This is actually the fruition or bringing to fruition of the digital revolution.
Yeah, and I will tell you, Lee, that he and I are simpatico on regulation. There's way too much of it. One thing that our current president has done is got rid of a lot of regulation, which is what has freed up entrepreneurism. But it's regulation in this country where the Securities and Exchange Commission and everyone else is trying to protect citizens. The overreach and overextension of regulation, believe it or not, a guy at 21 years old can go to Las Vegas with $1 million in his hand and buy women and whiskey and gamble. But because of regulation, he can't buy an IPO or an initial public offering for a stock They save that for the people that are accredited investors, and that's an example of over-regulation we don't want to see happen in this space.
You know, probably in your neck of the woods, there's probably not enough regulation. But in the U.S., we're the kings of regulation.
Yeah.
I mean, we literally got more people doing the regulating and investigating of the regulating and the dreaming up of the regulating than we got horses pulling the wagon.
Yeah.
And so you're probably just the opposite. You know, you've got all horse and no wagon, and probably need a little bit of regulation. So we're saying the same thing. There is a happy medium there. But man, being what man is, seldom finds the happy medium.
Yeah.
Interesting. When you are saying that there should be regulation, but not a strict one that will kill innovation and opportunity.
Yes, very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good, because there are some regulations. I don't know, for most especially we here in the US, the regulations are very strict. Over here in Africa, in Nigeria, they are not that strict, the regulations. So people are advocating for regulations so that it will help the players to abide by some of the rules. So strict regulations, I will believe, will kill innovation and opportunities. So that's very interesting to hear that from both of you. Another one we're going to be looking at is the education aspect of it. This year, you guys are playing a very good role in educating people about crypto and blockchain. So what are some of the things it will do, and what are some of the things to be done for more adoption?
Well, we talk about education, and it really is paramount to it. I'll never forget when computers first came out, and we bought my mother her first computer, and the mouse, she didn't know what it was, and she was used to sewing, so she put the mouse on the floor and thought you used your foot with it. And so she called me and said, I can't get this thing to work. And so as simple as that is, it is education, and it's the reason we started this show, is to try to help people see what it really is and what it really isn't. Too much of the information is that it's fraudulent and it's dark web and everything else, when the reality is the people putting that message out are the people that don't want cryptocurrencies and blockchain to encroach on their existing business. So being able to go out and tell people what cryptocurrencies and blockchain really are and the problems they solve, which are innumerable, is really paramount to that adoption.
And our very first show, there was an article that we talked about, and it was from Jamie Dimon from Chase Bank. And oh my gosh, it's dark money, it's black market, it's drugs, thieves, thugs. That's what all this cryptocurrency stuff is. And then the last line of the entire paragraph or the entire article said, and Chase has put $50 million to set up their own blockchain division. Okay. And so the problem is a lot of people read the headlines and don't really read the story. And if you had not read that article all the way to the bottom, you'd have probably believed all of that. And so where we have a problem in the US of a lot of our news and everything being very polarized, and really it's not news, it's propaganda from both ends many times. What we try to do is tell our redneck buddies, go to the bottom, or read the headline and read the last line.
Yeah.
And if you read the last line, that's all you really need to know. And of course, now Chase is in it up to their neck, as well as all the other financial institutions.
Okay, Dustin, what are some of the things people should do to stay educated about the ecosystem? I'm still on the education aspect of it. How do people access some of these materials?
Yeah, well, yeah. And the thing that is happening, just like with what you guys are doing, if you think about it early in this space, the only way you could ever get education and information was on YouTube and was on podcasts. And so now, even doing what you're doing, now we are meeting Main Street where they are, and more people are curious. I mean, every day I'll run into somebody and they ask what we do, and I'll say, have you heard of Bitcoin? And they'll say, yeah, I've heard of it, but I don't know anything about it. And that is where, this education piece is going to be huge to really people getting comfortable with it, understanding what it is.
Interesting. Education, when we are talking about education, like you mentioned, that if some people read the headline, they don't read through the article, which is a challenge. And we have seen many things the media have been doing about this space. There are some mostly negative publications about Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, and blockchain. So, what do you think our media should do when it comes to this? So most especially the media that are in the crypto space, what should they do to enhance adoption?
Personally, I think that it's incumbent upon the media, which you're in and we're in, to try to give a good balanced approach. I mean, we're not zealots where we say, if you don't look at this and adopt it and accept it and do these things, then you're a fool. Because we want people to comfortably do this because they do understand it. And so it's important for media, which I think we do a pretty good job of to tell. On our show every week, we talk about fraud that is out there and scammers and people that are doing these things for people to be aware. But we also talk about, use case and problems that are solved and that kind of thing to give a balanced approach to what it really is so that people don't think we're just out there screaming, crypto or nothing or bust.
In the Wild West, they'd ask the bank robber, why'd you rob the bank? He said, because that's where the money is. And so guess what? If you've got money, whether it's cryptocurrency, whether it's stocks, whether it's bonds, whether it's cash, whatever, if you got money, you're going to have thieves. Some of them are going to be institutional systemic thieves where they have monopolistic powers and can charge whatever fee they want. And guess what? When things change and you're going from the wagon to the motorized vehicle, they're going to fight it tooth and nail. And that's basically what you have going on. So what we do is we make sure that we kind of put everything in context and explain to people that, hey, we're in the middle of a sea change. We had a trade, I think it was $867 million, and it went for like 69 cents or something. If that doesn't scare the bejeebies out of every bank, whether it's a central bank, a European bank, a U.S. bank, the Fed, it doesn't matter. If you're one of those institutional thieves of sorts, well, then guess what? You got to be worried because the money is no longer going to be in the bank. It's going to be in the digital circuits that going around the globe.
Lee, I'll share a quick story. So Brent and I live in a town that is, most people in this town are older than we are. It's a big retirement. Yeah, it's a big retirement. But we went and they invited us, and this has been over 2 years ago, to do a presentation to this entire room of people that was probably average age 70. And so we've got about 60 people in the room, and they're all sitting there like this because what they had heard, they had no interest in. Bitcoin is bad, cryptocurrencies are bad, they're fraud, they're dark web and all. So we opened the entire presentation by saying, who has one of these? Well, they all do this, they all had them. We said, who can send a picture anywhere in the world to your friends and family of your grandchildren? They all said, we can do that. We said, what if you could send money to someone in need anywhere in the world for almost nothing, and they would get it almost instantly? Would that be of interest to you? Well, they all of a sudden they go from this to, and they sat there and asked more questions than they ever had. That is the education piece that is critical to this.
Unfortunately, a lot of times in the crypto space, because a lot of it has been recently driven by coders, people that are building the infrastructure, and they'll argue about, whether this is scalable or that's scalable, or you're going to lose this, you're going to lose that kind of a deal. The good thing is he and I couldn't code our way out of a wet paper bag, okay? But what we have the ability to do is just that right there, is on the fly, explain to people why this is important to them. They don't need to know how to code. They don't need to know if the blockchain's scalable or not. They don't need to know if it's proof of work or, all of that's irrelevant to them. They want to pick that phone up and go, I got a granddaughter that just called me and said, somebody stole my wallet or whatever, and I need some money, and she can go bing, bing, and send her some cash.
You bet. Yeah.
Interesting. Lastly, before we draw the curtain on the show, we know the things that are happening. So when people are coming, you advise them to do their own due diligence, proper research about everything. So before we go to that, I want to know what made you guys to come into the ecosystem. What drew your attention to blockchain or Bitcoin or cryptocurrency?
Yeah, I've been an early adopter of technology my whole life. And I had my first website in 1994. There was less than 1 million websites in the world. And so I heard about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in 2013 and started kind of following it. And then I sold a business in 2016 and started really researching the crypto space. And actually, I was listening to YouTubers and podcasters, and I just didn't feel that the credibility of the message was there to get old guys like us that had money. And then when I met Brent and found out you take a traditional financial guy that worked for one of the biggest companies in the business that can go and communicate to people why this is something they should pay attention to. We just literally, like Brent said, I've done radio and TV for a long time, and he'd done some radio and television. And I said, "You want to do a show on cryptocurrencies?" And he goes, "Sure." And like he said, there was no preparation. We went in there for an hour, and like this, it was over. Matter of fact, the guy in the studio said, "So how long have you guys been doing this?"
About an hour and 2 minutes.
Yeah. But to your point, you have to do your own research. This is also something where the regulation piece, typically, especially in this country, is overbearing, and there's a lot of things you can't even do. Where this is loosely regulated, we really is a global solution to a lot of things. And we also believe that this will lift more people out of poverty than anything has in the past. But there has to be real, very smart global regulation that everybody can buy into. But it makes it incumbent upon people to do their own research and know what they're doing. There are scams every single day.
But there's scams everywhere. We got to give the entrepreneurs enough elbow room to get in there and really figure out how to solve problems with this. And I think we are just now getting to the level of adoption that really a lot of the white papers and a lot of the projects are going to solving real world problems, not programming problems.
Yeah.
We have one other thing that's very Texan that we use in trying to determine if we like something or not. It is our lacquered cow chip, and on one side it says go, and the other side it says no. We throw it and see where it lands. That's a joke.
I understand. Interesting. Okay, thank you very much. I really enjoyed the show. It's very, very interesting. It was a very amazing time. It's well spent. Thank you very much, Andrew T. and L. Brent Betts for joining us today on CoinNewsExtra interview.
No, that's fine. I'll tell you what, though, I want a cowboy shirt with that pattern on it.
I know, isn't that right? Yeah.
I need a cowboy cap. I need one to come for the show.